we got today? New day, new plan. Welcome back to the Sunshine State Rails. Driving northbound on our frequented US 301 with my friend Danny in the back seat. Without questioning our motive, we're out for trains. First stop is Tampa's Yeoman and Uceda yards. Coming across the Tampa Bypass Canal, there is the very end of a unit train sitting on the bridge. We had a fair idea on what this train was, but it wouldn't be until about an hour that we would confirm so. Train number 1 would come on the west side of Uceda Yard on the A line at 50th Street, CSX Y19116. Here is a yard job that has just finished serving customers around Ybor City and is now coming back into Tampa to switch some more cars before heading to some other customers south on the Palmetto Subdivision. With a tiny train of covered hoppers, this train is now taking what is known as the new connection to move from the A line to Yeoman Yard. There's a switch somewhere down there that allows him to go into either Uceda or Yeoman. He will be going to Yeoman, switching some cars, and then heading south. Our next spot would be our well-known Adamo Drive. Most of you will know by this point that this is the very first railroad crossing south of Yeoman on the Palmetto Subdivision. Coming under the Selman Expressway now is 0823. Our also well-known Tropicana Juice local that brings freight and Tropicana reefers out of Bradenton up to here at Yeoman, today with a trio of well-known Gevos. Some of you may or may not wonder why the juice train always turns this direction on the switch here. Well, it's because the juice train goes into the yard to drop off or pick up cars and to go on QO46 later tonight. But what happens if you go straight? Well, if you go straight, you will take what is known as the pass track. There are certain facilities on the Palmetto Subdivision that deal in phosphate trains, which run in between there and places in the Bone Valley. And those trains, which commonly take the pass track, don't need to go through the yard, so they implemented the pass track so trains coming up this way that don't go into Yeoman Yard can bypass the yard. Back when the juice train was its own train that ran all the way up to New Jersey or even Jacksonville, it as well would take the pass track, stopping at 78th Street for all but a crew change. Probably couldn't tell, but that train earlier that we saw on the bridge was on the pass track, and it was just about now that we found out what that train was, and confirmed our suspicions. It was K308-15, an as-needed phosphate train from CSX's giant New Wales phosphate processing plant down to Port Manatee on the Palmetto Subdivision. He had just gotten a new crew on the pass track, and as you can see here, just mere seconds after 823 clears the switch, the dispatcher is already lining it back for the pass track so K308 can make his way down to Port Manatee. As 308 was getting his final permissions down the sub to Port Manatee, Y191 was ready to make his way south on the Palmetto sub to Rockport and switch out a tank car industry there. But 308 had already gotten authority down the sub, so all he could do was pull out here and stop and wait.
Hello everyone, this is Palmetto Sub Railfan. We're about to get K308 with Gevos and hoppers with stuff in them. And remember, ladies, hit me up. Don't actually. Or do, I suck at responding though. So I don't recommend it. Or, I mean, never mind.
Finally, 308 came into view. The engineer was to make sure that the signal at TS showed clear, and once he rounded the corner and saw that it was clear, it was throttle all the way over. So for about the next 45 seconds, enjoy pure horses and power as these two Gevos haul the phosphate up to speed. catch a K308, so how could we not give chase to it? Our next spot was downtown Gibsonton, just past the Alafia River. K308 coming.
So we got a freight train coming down here with covered hoppers. That's what K308 is. And he is currently passing the Alafia River. But train's coming, slowly but surely. What can I say?
Our next spot was the Little Manatee River. Now, as some of you may or may not have seen or remembered from my recent videos, there's a lot of modernization going on around the Little Manatee River. Electronics, housings, and other things. But the biggest upgrade is that the Little Manatee Swing Bridge is now remote control, so no more manual bridge tending here. The Alafia River bridge tender will now be able to remotely control this bridge without anyone on site. They've also completely ripped up both ends of the Ruskin siding. This is stuff that I'll have to document at some point later, because I do have some rail fanning trips coming up, but this is definitely something to look at later in the future. What I am thankful for is that this construction hasn't yet endangered the signals on either sides of this bridge. The sawed-off permissive signals that you see on either side of this bridge are signals that I haven't seen anywhere else in Florida. I'm not exactly sure what kinds of signals these are, but I know they're pretty rare. The train is now making its final stop at Port Manatee Yard. It's so crazy to see this yard empty because usually when we drive by here it's full of these covered hoppers until a 309 takes them out, then another K308 brings in these cars, and you'll be able to see them sitting here for roughly another month. The chase of K308 would take up the majority of our day, but our original plan was actually to try and explore CSX's Bone Valley region. So once K308 pulled into the yard, we left them to try and get some stuff in the Bone Valley. But this day it was surprisingly dead. We were, however, able to catch one train, and our last train, 0730, the Winston to New Wales local for the Bone Valley, heading back north from New Wales past here at Nichols to Winston Yard again. As you can see here, this train primarily deals with jumbo covered phosphate hoppers and sulfur tanks running from place to place here in the BV. We're definitely going to have to make another day to come out here to the Bone Valley because I really do want to try to catch some other trains down here. But regardless, it was an awesome day with Danny by my side, and Danny, I thank you for making it an awesome one. You know why it was. So thanks for joining us on this little outing for Saturday, May the 16th. I hope you enjoyed. We'll be back soon. And until then, I'll see you next time
on the Sunshine State Rail.